It is a great honor and privilege to introduce Rabbi Uriel Keesing. We're here in your wonderful, beautiful apartment in Yerushalayim. And Rav, your family originally came from Holland.
My father, generations long, he was in Holland. My mother came in 1938 from Germany with her parents to Holland. Her parents were from Poland, Tarnów. I don't know when they fled to Germany in 1938. I think they came to Holland.
And where in Holland?
Amsterdam.
So Rav, this is a picture of your parents at the
wedding.
The wedding.
Yeah. And I had a friend in Holland. She died this year at the age of 96, and she told me she can remember that she went to the great synagogue, and she was there, a very young girl, and she was at the Chatuna of my parents.
So what's interesting in the picture is no one is smiling.
Because in the middle of the war, 42. I think that is the reason.
Can you show who's in the picture?
Not everybody, but these are my great parents from mother's side. They stayed in the war during the war in Holland and were in hiding.
And they survived?
Yes. I tell you something interesting. After my parents with me and my sister came home from the United States, first we were in Cuba, there I was born. The first day in school, the Mora, the teacher, asked, "Is here anybody who has one parent?" Some of the pupils said yes. Then she asked two parents, nobody besides me. Afterwards she asked for, is there anybody with great parents? The only one was from both sides. I had my parents and great parents. The boy I was sitting next to him came home and told to his mother, I'm sitting nice next to a Goyshe Jude. He couldn't understand, after the war, somebody with two parents and four grandparents. So, my great parents from mother's side, my father, my mother, the bride, and the bride. Next to them, my grandparents from father's side, and my Doda from father's side,
the aunt,
and the other ones I don't know. This is interesting. This is a police officer who made it possible for my parents to flee from Holland, and afterwards is not sure that he didn't.
That he wasn't together with the Germans.
Okay. But anyway, the fact that I speak to you, that is because he made it possible for
He wasn't Jewish?
No.
So that's...
I didn't know I feel his name at the moment.
And he came to the wedding?
Yes, so
he was a friend of the family's?
From my grandfather. Broekhoff, call him.
Broekhoff.
But actually, I'm sorry that I told you this, because it is not 100% for sure that he cooperated with the Germans.
But he saved your family.
Okay.
It's amazing that this picture survived as well.
Yeah.
And how did your parents manage to leave Holland?
He spoke at that moment. Actually, he was Canary Beseder. He had a police officer, and he had a lot of contact with the Germans, and he made it possible for my parents. I mean, my mother, who was in, how do you say, Beherayon,
she was pregnant,
came to leave in 42, January 42, to leave Holland by train via Belgium, via France, via Spain, and in Portugal they got on a boat to Cuba. And that they were accepted there was also a escadon.
It was a big miracle.
The Cuban authorities were very suspect about all kinds of people who came from Europe, that they were miraculously,
that there were spies.
And there were a lot of Jews who were sent back to Europe. There's something interesting. My mother came from a משפחה דתית, לא מאוד דתית, אבל מסורתית.
Traditional family.
Yeah. And she never ate not kosher food. And on the boat, my father was very, very מפחד. אם אני מדבר עברית לאט לאט.
Or English, I'll translate. Your father was he was nervous. He was afraid.
Because he knew that she wasn't expecting, and she didn't eat anything on the boat. So my father went to somebody, and a Jewish doctor who went with them, and said, my wife is in Beherayon.
She's pregnant.
Can you talk to her that it is permitted in such a thing to eat non-kosher? And he succeeded, but 10 minutes after she ate that, the fish in the ocean, they had a very, very סעודה מאוד טובה.
And did you have any family in Cuba, or did you know anyone?
In Cuba not, but afterwards, after I was strong enough to travel, because I was a very weak baby, they went to New York. There my grandfather had a brother. I think the brother also made it possible financially to do this. Very rich man. And there they stayed. We stayed there until 46.
And Rav, can I ask, when were you born? In what month were you born?
October 42.
And was it in Havana?
Yeah.
And what did your parents tell you about Cuba? Did they?
That was the time that children didn't ask much questions. Now, I'm so sorry, I wanted to know such a lot of things, but I don't know if you... זה לא היה במודע.
And did your parents tell you? Did they?
If I didn't ask, they didn't tell me. But you don't know that's in
I know.
The 40s and 50s even. I had dreamt not long ago that I came back to Havana, and somebody had told me where was the hospital where I was born, but it didn't exist anymore. So in my dream I phoned my mother and asked her, I'm here in the Rehov Kach Vekach, is that the street where I got born? She said yes. Afterwards I couldn't talk anymore. So in my dream I had contact with my mother.
But did your parents ever tell you why he went out of his way to try and save your parents? How the non-Jewish friend of your grandfather, why he did what he did?
Because he had business relations with my grandfather, and כנראה הוא היה very thankful to my grandfather who helped him a lot.
What type of business did your grandfather do?
Non-Jew, he took הוא דאג business, and he was the one who took my grandparents in hiding in his house for 3 years.
They were in his house, in hiding. But what type of business did your grandfather do?
How did it called? He started Keesing's Historical Archives. That means that every week they published a paper which was not interesting at that time, but if you would know, you wanted to know, 5 years after Truman said a special neum, then you could find it in that. And afterwards he came medical archives, financial archives, and there was one edition that is up. Why my English?
No, Rob, you're doing very well.
I have an English wife, but never talked English. I try to make it understandable. The cashier between Broekhoff and my grandfather. Yeah, there was also a paper which was called Financial Archives, and in that archives they published each month pictures of Kesef Mezuyaf.
Oh, that's forged money.
Yeah. And that was I think that was the reason that Broekhoff and my grandfather got good friends, and Broekhoff felt he has to do something for my grandfather and his children and his grandchildren.
Did Broekhoff ever get Chasidei Mot Olam?
No, even the opposite, because after the war, I think there was a process against him. I don't know if they proved that he was not Beseder, but anyway, to our family, he was Ma'ot Beseder.
And was your family in touch with his family after the war?
No, that I don't know. If I speak once more to my mother in my dream, I can ask her.
But it's incredible. Without his help,
No,
we might not be here today.
no.
It's amazing. And Rob, what is your earliest memories? Was it when you were growing up in New York?
So Cuba and New York, I can't remember anything. Could be that when I was younger and my memory was better. No, I can only remember that when we came back in 46, my grandfather from mother's side waited us in Rotterdam. We came by ship, and I can remember he was a very small man. He came with his car, but I saw no driver. He was so small, and his car was so big.
And when you came back, did you stay first in Rotterdam?
The first year I think we stayed with my grandfather in Amsterdam. And in 47 my parents found an apartment, and there I lived till I got married.
And what did your father do for a living?
He was in the business there.
And it continued.
Yeah.
Is it still in existence today?
I think about 10 years ago they sold it to an English company, but I have no idea. It doesn't interest me.
And you growing up in Holland, in Amsterdam, after the war?
Yeah.
So most of your friends, like you said before, they were survivors. They were
Yeah.
And there must have been many orphans or many that didn't have parents.
Mm-hmm.
And you were the only one that had not only grandparents, but
parents
you had
and
two.
4 grandparents.
I think it must be unique.
I think even that I didn't feel well with the idea that I'm the only one. No, my friends never told me that. Oh, is it B'nai Mazal?
And did you ever speak with your friends about what happened to them in the Shoah or where they were hidden?
What is your age?
65.
But you heard about that in the first years, 20 years, that we didn't. I don't know why we were not interested to know, but my parents didn't tell. I'm sure that if I would have asked them, they would have.
But your friends at school, did you know any of these stories?
Didn't talk about the war. I think that is something for פסיכולוגים. איך זה יכול להיות? אתם, you lived through the Shoah and you don't know anything about it, but that was the...
And Rav, what happened to your mother's family and your extended family on your mother's side and your father's side?
There were a lot of them who perished in Poland because the parents of my mother, they came all from Eastern Europe. And those who stayed there, I don't think that anybody
survived that. No one.
No.
And after the war, did any family members reunite, or did you meet any family members that had survived the Shoah?
Could be, but
And how was the atmosphere growing up in Holland after the war?
we felt okay there. I know that I was ashamed on Sukkot to go with the Arba Minim to the Beit Knesset. They didn't say, אתה יהודי, but I didn't feel, but anti-Semitism, we didn't feel.
And you went to a Jewish school?
Yes, the only Jewish school in Amsterdam, Bichlal, Holland.
What was the name? Do you remember the...
Rosh Pina. And just now I had my 38th birthday last week, and I remember, so before 70 years was my bar mitzvah. Shabbat Bereshit, a very, very difficult parsha to learn, but I had an excellent teacher that was the class teacher, and in his free time he was also prepared to teach bar mitzvah. And it was very interesting. He asked me, bring me every month ma'atafa sgura,
a closed letter,
with the money for that my parents had to pay for his lessons, but it has to be closed. And I asked myself why, and then I thought I know why, because he didn't want that a bachur of 12 years should know how much money he asked. Was not when I was 20. I visited him and I asked him, can you explain me why you begged me to bring a closed envelope? He said, I'm prepared to tell you. I didn't open the envelopes during the whole year. In the summer I opened them, and with the money I could pay to myself and my wife on vacation in Israel.
Wow. And Rob, what do you remember of your bar mitzvah? It must have been a very joyous... Your bar mitzvah, what do you remember? In which shul did you have it?
I don't know if you know the Lekstraat. Did you hear of them? I know that about 2 other boys were bar mitzvah at the same Shabbat, and I learned everything besides the 2 parshas for my. But the second one I knew very well. He was in the same class as I was. But this third one I had never seen, and he learned a very short parsha, short parsha, 3 psukim. And after he finished, the Rabbi of Benedict was a very famous Talmid Chacham. He said to me, "You have to learn it again," because I saw that he learned it by heart. So I was a very nice Dutch boy with good manners, and I said to Rav Benedict, "I don't feel well. Perhaps I'm insulting him. When he hears that I'm learning." Rav Benedict said, "Don't be afraid. At the time that you learn it again, he will be in the Ezrat Nashim to get the kisses from his mother." And he was right. And I remember also, it was the Minhag in Amsterdam, that after the learning, before Musaf, the bar mitzvah boy, the rabbi gave a drasha and told him that you should behave like this. And he said in his drasha, "I hope that after you finish school, you will go to a yeshiva." After the service, people came to the rabbi. He spoke in Dutch, and he was very ragish, how do you say?
Emotional.
And he asked the people, was my Dutch not good enough? So people said that it was excellent, but you said one thing that you shouldn't have said. What was that? That you wished him that after he finishes school that he's going to a yeshiva. Here in Holland he has enough opportunity to learn. That was not true, but that I can remember.
And Rob, what made you decide to go to get smicha and...
Interesting. Half a year after my bar mitzvah, my grandfather died suddenly. My mother was the only child, nobody to say Kaddish. So I asked the rabbi, "Can I say Kaddish during that year?" He said, "You have to ask your parents, because there are parents who don't want that." Yes. So I said Kaddish, and then I become much closer to Orthodox.
Because you went to shul every day.
And so after I finished Beit Sefer, now how do you say it? I went for a year to Yeshivat Kol Torah, which is here.
In Beit Vegan?
Yeah, in Beit Vegan. Sometimes if I walk there, I can smell the reach of the eitzim there, and it makes me remember.
And who was the Rosh Yeshiva at that time?
Rav Shlomo Zalman Auerbach.
And you
Rav Kunstadt.
And Rav Schlesinger, was he there as well?
I think Schlesinger? No. I don't know if he wasn't anymore alive. And there I got very, very interesting. And actually my parents gave me permission to stay there another year, but after I finished the year, I had to go home to Holland because it was the bar mitzvah of my brother. And then people influenced me and said, even this rabbi, very, very frum rabbi, Rav Katz, he said to me, nobody can believe it, at the reception of the bar mitzvah of my brother, he said to me, what are you going to do now? So I said, I'm going back to Kol Torah. He said, I think you have to stay here to learn something in the university. People can't believe me, because he was a really Haredish rabbi.
And he was in Holland?
Yeah, he came to Holland after he lost his whole family, and he wrote a letter to Queen Wilhelmina to ask her if she is prepared to give permission to him to stay in Holland. And she gave the permission.
Rav, can we see the picture again?
This is his son. Both are not alive anymore.
So that was amazing that he said that you need to learn. Did he say a profession, or you should learn?
I should learn something. But if not him, I'm sure that you wouldn't find me here. I would have become a very, very, no, I don't know, extreme, but not somebody that I'm now.
And did you learn a profession?
I learned for 3 years in the university, political sciences, but I wasn't satisfied there. Only when I got engaged to my wife, she said, it's a pity not to finish at least what is the first degree?
A BA?
Yeah. I got a BA, and it helped me here in Israel. When I came here, from the beginning, I was a teacher. And in the Misrat HaChinuch, they asked me, do you have any degree? So I said, yes, but in political science, doesn't matter. It helped me in the beginning to get a higher salary.
At which university did you get the BA?
In Amsterdam.
In Amsterdam. And did you go to university with a kippah?
No.
And did you ever have
I think I could have done it, but I didn't feel.
Did you ever feel anti-Jewish?
When I got in the Chadar Ochel,
in the rest, like the canteen,
I put on a kippah.
Wow. And did you ever feel anti-Jewish feeling at university? No. Or
actually, I think there was already, but it was, how do you say, latent.
It was not obvious. It was.
Yeah.
And what made you decide to do political science?
I was always interested in reading papers every day. I can remember that when the paper came, I took the paper, put it on the floor, and I was reading the paper. I was always interested in.
And it could also be your grandparents that they had the.
Exactly.
But what an amazing Rav to give you that
And
advice.
I remember something else. My grandfather, not really frum, but very traditional, we were 3. My brother is not alive anymore. I got a sister here in Beit Vegan. He took us the day before Yom Kippur to this Rav in order to get a bracha from him. And I am sure that what I have reached in my life, successes, is the adayin me'abracha shel harav hazeh. He's a very special man.
And he lost his whole he lost his family.
Mm-hmm.
And Rav, can I ask, when you were at Kol Torah, did you go to Shiurim of Rav Auerbach?
No, but Rav Auerbach came each week on Sunday. He made a small bechina. The first time I didn't know who was Rav Auerbach. I know, but not how famous he was and what a special man. So I was very nervous, and it came out. It was so gemütlich. We were sitting in a room, and he asked some questions, but at the moment that he saw that you were not sure of yourself. He talked about something else. You must read, I'm sure that it is also in English, 2 books which were published after. Unbelievable man. Tell you one, I've still in 10 minutes I think. When he came to the yeshiva, all other rabbonim, they came with a taxi. There were then the very big taxis that 6 or 7 people could come in. He said, not for me. He came with a bus. Bus Shtemesai. And pupils of him were waiting outside to lelavot oto la yeshiva.
To accompany him to the yeshiva.
So מתרגש מזה. One day the bus came, they saw him sitting in the bus, but he didn't get off. So some of them Talmidim, they ran to the next stop. Perhaps he was forgotten, he was sitting and learning. He came off, and one of the pupils asked him, Slicha, mutar li ladat lama harav lo yarat.
Can I ask, why didn't you get off the bus?
What did he say? One stop beforehand, a woman came in and was sitting next to him. And he didn't want to give that woman the feeling that he was getting out of the bus because she...
Oh, that is incredible. Well, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And Rav, did you know Hebrew when you came, or?
Not much, but it was a special class for Bachurim from Chutz La'aretz. And I was lucky that our rabbi who taught us was from Holland. Also Rav Dinkel, so we could always ask him if we didn't understand something.
What was his name?
Rav Alexander Dinkel.
And you were happy in Kol Torah?
The first month are very difficult. Somebody who's learning in the yeshiva is supposed to know how to read Rashi. I didn't know that because my education in Holland was very, very... but afterwards, the first 2 or 3 months, I felt very happy there.
And what made you decide to go to Kol Torah?
That was in the fashion. Dutch boys, Yekische boys, when they go to a yeshiva, Kol Torah was also very Yekische yeshiva, so I came there in Kol Torah with 4 chaverim.
And Rav, where did you get smicha?
There in Kol Torah.
In Kol Torah.
Actually, it was somebody else. I don't remember his name. I can remember. Rav Fink from Haifa. His son became afterwards rabbi in Rotterdam, I think.
What an amazing, incredible journey, Rav.
But I think everybody you come to interview, everybody has an uncle. Somebody who was born in the war and came out of the war alive. I think that's all. Every case is incredible.
It's missing. It's miracles.
Yes.
And your parents, they remained from? The family remained from?
My father was never, during generations assimilated, but he was very, very happy that we got frummer and frummer. And the last years from his life, he came for Yom Tov, he came to Israel. No, when I was still in Holland, the chief rabbi there, did you hear of him, of Berlinger? He was the rabbi of all the small kehillos in Holland. And he asked me and other friends of my age if on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur we could go to one of the small kehillas because they had no chazan, no Baal Koreh, no Baal Tokea. And that from the second year on, I think I did it 5 or 6 years till we made Aliyah. My father was very happy to go with me. I don't think he could daven anything because he got not that education was had. And besides of this, he paid the money that I could learn there in Kotor. So he himself was not traditional, was very happy to see his children getting frumer.
And your mother was very
Of
traditional.
course.
So Rob, I have to ask you, what message do you impart to your family and to future generations? What eitzah do you give? What advice? Or
I got a very emotional letter of my son because he gave me a present for my birthday, and he wrote a small letter, what I have learned from you, Abba, to be nice and friendly to everyone.
I think these qualities you got from your parents and grandparents.
Yeah.
So Rob, I am so grateful to you. There are no words to thank you enough, really. Your story that somebody helped your family because of Karas HaTov, he had gratitude.
And not sure that he was 100% okay, because otherwise they wouldn't have do a process after the war. But I don't know what was the end of the story.
But still, it's unbelievable stories. Unbelievable that you were here, that your family survived, and that you had 2 grandparents. So Rav, can you give all of us a bracha for Klal Yisrael?
First of all, that I don't have to... אפשר בעברית. שהם לא צריכים לעבור את מה שההורים והגרנדפרנטס שלי עברו, שואה כזאת ש...
So I'm just going to... that the future generation shouldn't have to go through what your parents and grandparents went through.
And I'm very, very grateful to my parents. They gave me a fantastic education. And the fact, I think, that my father was not religious and my mother was religious or traditional helped me also a lot to understand other people who don't have parents, that both of them are. I think I learned from a very early age that the world is not shachor lavan.
That it's not black and white.
Yeah.
But Rav, the story that you mentioned about Rav Auerbach not getting off the bus, I think is one of the most incredible... He was such a great man, and we can see why.
And I don't know even if the woman who came in the bus, she saw, I will show you in the... when you go out, a picture of Rav Auerbach. I'm not sure that the women didn't take a seat bechavana. She wasn't, of course she wasn't a religious woman, otherwise she would have seen.
That's so true.
It made a huge impression on me. Also other things which, on Yom Kippur, the last Yom Kippur, I wasn't allowed to fast. When I was home, I went to the synagogue, but in the 3 hours I read that one of the 2 Sfarim, the biographies about him, and it was for me the best lesson for Yom Kippur. How to try to behave,
Wow. So,
to be a mensch.
So I must mention, when we made Aliyah, very soon after we made Aliyah, it was, the Rav was Nifta, and I remember going to the Levai of Rav Auerbach.
Ah, that was...
I had the whole of Yerushalayim closed down, and all the streets, there were people,
Yeah.
thousands and thousands of people. We lost a great Gadol. Thank you so much, Rav. I'm so grateful to you. באמת, תודה רבה.